reporter there.
It looks like at least 10, well, maybe not 10, but 7 or 8 Santa Ana police, Orange County sheriffs, and highway patrol officers following them, as well as regular private citizens on motorcycles who are following this chase now.
We have something in right here to the Newsplex of interest. It appears that he's about 3 minutes away from his own Brentwood home at this point.
So he may be going there to hole up and maybe call his mother on the phone, who knows.
Or possibly his mother is there.
She might be.
That we don't know. But that has certainly been the place where the media has been camped out throughout the week as this story has unfolded, and it appears now that that is where he is headed.
It's about a mile or so up Rockingham on the right-hand side.
Yeah, that's right, Eric. And also, once again, if we can continue to speculate, it will be interesting to see if he is allowed to go into the mansion itself or whether he will be stopped short of it.
That's a good question.
Remember, there are people there in that mansion, and I don't think law enforcement wants any kind of siege to take place. Then again, it is possible he may have said on the phone, all I want to do is see my mother and children, and then I will surrender. So that is also a point for speculation, too.
It's hard to say what in the world is on his mind at this point.
That's right.
Mark Ludner apparently has information that is exactly where he's going, or at least that's the feeling at the LA Police headquarters. Mark, what are you hearing?
Well, we understand that he turned off the 405 freeway onto Sunset. That's a route that we've been taking for days now because it leads, if he went west on Sunset, toward his own house. It also leads to the murder scene, which was the home of Nicole Brown Simpson.
Mark, it appears,
may be where he's going.
Mark, it appears now he's turning into his own home.
There are people staked out on the corner. Now they're running after the car. It appears that there are already police cars in place there. As near as we can tell, there are the satellite trucks, so obviously he's going home. There's no two ways about it.
Running right past the news crews that have been there throughout the week.
He's making a turn right into the driveway.
Familiar driveway we have seen all week long, and we don't know if his mother is possibly here at his home.
That might be another option. Have you heard anything more about where his mother is? They're coming up to the car right now.
Oh, wait a minute.
Is he telling him to get away?
Let me tell you what I can see. We've just turned the corner.
There's a police officer.
Pulling someone away who was inside the property.
Total chaos here.
Get down.
Motorcycles, black and whites, people running around, officers getting out of their cars with their batons, people running, they're keeping our cameras away.
We got to remind you really quickly, this is a live picture. We have no idea what is going to happen here, and apparently there is a weapon, there is a gun, so bear with us. This is live television.
They're not letting us get up close enough to actually see what's going on with the naked eye, so you have the best viewpoint from the helicopter.
Behind that Bronco, there's apparently a marked police unit with its lights on. Officers who appear to be have their guns drawn, and they are standing behind their police cars. They're pulled up behind the Bronco. If this shot would widen out, you might be able to see it's underneath that tree right there in the upper left-hand part of your screen. And we have so far have not seen anyone get out of that Ford Bronco.
Some officers have their guns drawn. The one officer who was standing on the porch did not appear to have a weapon out. Somebody came up to that driver's seat. Presumably that was Al Cowlings, O.J.'s friend, the man whose car that is, and he pushed him away.
Exactly. We understand that Al Cowling is still inside this car also, along with...
Nobody's gotten out of the car. The flashers are still on, and it appears to be parked. Tinted windows, so it's very difficult to tell what's going on inside there.
We understand now that was O.J. Simpson's son who came out to the Bronco and was pushed away. And we're getting these reports in and passing them along to you immediately. This is a live picture. O.J. Simpson inside that Ford Bronco with his friend, and he has been on more than an hour-long drive to his own Brentwood mansion, and he had been demanding to see his mother, and he was holding a gun on himself.
3 of the networks are now reporting that somebody has already been hauled out of that Ford Bronco by police. Of course, the speculation, there are only 2 people in that car. They believe it was either O.J. Simpson himself or this Al Cowlings gentleman, the friend. I just saw them pull in. There was
really
somebody in the driver's side, no, and I don't think we ever lost our bird's eye view. But again, we want to let you know what other news organizations are saying, but that would explain why he was so adamant to get him away. He just didn't want anything to happen. If that's O.J.'s son, those kids have been through so much already.
Right. They now have such a touchy situation on their hands. This is at O.J. Simpson's Brentwood mansion. He is in that Ford Bronco, the white car you see in the center of your screen. You see the long line of police cars parked out on the street. They are trying to contact him or have him in contact by cellular phone.
That cell phone apparently also leading them. They're pleading with him to come out. You see the officer seems to be reaching for a weapon. I can't really tell, but supposedly now, and this explains why the path was so clear, LAPD claiming that they knew he was going to the Brentwood estate, while CHP, California Highway Patrol, was indicating that he was headed to Cerritos. One would think if the children might be there, the mother is there. We just don't know.
A good possibility, and that's what he had been demanding, to see his mother. Again, he wrote 3 letters, one to his mother, one to his children, and one to a friend, which we have already relayed to you, the letter in its entirety. And again, this situation gets more and more tense as the minutes pass. There is a police car pulled in very close behind that Ford Bronco. There are officers all around the property right now. Some of them have their weapons drawn, and we are waiting to see what's going to happen.
LAPD seems to be, at this point, the only police officers I can see around the vicinity. We had indications earlier that there was a SWAT team on alert, those types of things. Whether those people are now into play outside here, we really don't know. Again, they are saying somebody has been pulled out of the car, but Rob, I'm like you, I never did see that happen. It pulled in, the boy rushed over, he was pushed away
by somebody
basically, and it was from the driver's seat.
And then pulled back by a couple of officers.
As soon as he got far back, who did not have weapons drawn at that particular moment. That also O.J. Simpson supposedly is in the back seat with the gun. At one point, somebody could see a shot of him slumped over in the back seat, so we don't know. We don't know what's going on back there.
We had reports in that his voice was slurred, his speech was slurred as he was using the cellular phone to talk to authorities. Again, as Kelly has mentioned, his attorney says he has been taking medication for severe depression throughout the week since this investigation began. Today, charged with 2 murders and then disappeared. And now this is where they have found O.J. Simpson. He has taken them on an hour to an hour and a half long ride through Los Angeles to his own Brentwood home. And right now he is inside that car, and he may have a gun.
Let's listen to what the L.A. stations are saying while we have that opportunity.
If he could see his mother and the children and make some statement perhaps or talk to them, that maybe then there would be a surrender to the police. Did you gain altitude? Are you up at
Yes, Hal, we sure did. We're about 2,100 feet above the scene. Okay. That's mean sea level, which puts us up about 1,500 feet above the ground.
You still have an excellent picture, and we can see everything going on at that point, Craig.
Yes, this excellent vantage point from this location. As you can see, as details develop here, we should be able to see quite clearly what will take place.
The helicopter there hovering.
O.J. Simpson wrote a letter to his children and to his mother and then to his friends. And his attorney...
Yeah, that letter was read this afternoon, and what it did was to proclaim his innocence. He claimed that he was innocent innocent of the charges of murder in the first degree, 2 counts of murder in the first degree, with special circumstances. I think it's just a matter now of waiting to see. Do you see any other law enforcement activity in the area, Craig, as you look down?
Yes, as you can see on the perimeter road here, there is quite a number of vehicles that were in the pursuit with the White Bronco. They have all positioned themselves around the house, and I suspect that there are quite a number of officers surrounded the house at this time.
There were evidently officers inside the house also.
Yes, that's what appeared as we came up. Someone approached the vehicle initially and was pulled away from the vehicle by what it looked like some sort of officers. I could not tell their uniforms.
You know, Craig, to put it in one kind of perspective, the belief earlier was, when the letter was read at his attorney's office, at Mr. Shapiro's office, the view was that he was a fugitive from justice. Well, he is not a fugitive in one respect anymore. We know where he is, and he is, you know, there was speculation he might be out of the country.
It appears now, if you look right in front of the Bronco, somebody is getting close to the car.
Oh, it's a dog. That's exactly the only person at this point probably who could get close to the car is that dog.
O.J. Simpson is back at his home. And this is not a friend's home or any secondary home. This is his primary residence. Where he has been all day is difficult to speculate. He was out in the valley, then down in Orange County, and now he came back up the San Diego freeway and has come home again. I doubt that he will be leaving again. The police now know where he is.
The door is opening. Yes, we can see the driver's side door is opening.
What happens now? We'll watch with you. This is the
They're trying to focus up the camera there. We assume this is Al Cowling, we believe, getting out, motioning for people to stay back. From the video of the gentleman I saw at the funeral, that does appear to be him, which we would indicate that O.J. Simpson is still in the car somewhere. I believe that the people saw the son being pulled away by police officers. I don't think somebody was pulled out of that car.
I didn't see the side door open at all.
And if he was in the back seat, it would have taken him some time to get out.
And we have provided you an excellent view of this Ford Bronco. Right behind it, right behind that tree you see on the left-hand side of your screen, there is a police unit pulled right up in plain sight, and officers are standing behind the doors with their weapons drawn.
That O.J. did have a gun to his head as the car was driving up the 405 freeway, so there did not seem to be a weapon for that person who walked into the house.
We don't know what Al Cowling's, obviously there's no question that he's involved. You can second guess what he's done, but he may have been faced with a situation where he thought this was the only way to save his friend's life. And this is why he has done what he has done, which, as the district attorney said, aiding and abetting carries a felony rap with it as well, but he may have felt like this was the only thing to do to keep O.J. alive. We just don't know yet, but he's walking back toward that car at this moment.
We've seen him on a different screen. He's walked right back toward the Bronco.
The tree is blocking our view right at this moment.
And that would probably be part of the helicopter in the way right there.
There he is. He's leaning in.
You can see him now on our picture here, Kel.
Right.
Leaning into the door. And again, O.J. Simpson inside this Bronco, apparently, according to several reports, with a gun, and he has threatened to use that gun on himself.
At one point, supposedly saying he would hurt himself if he did not get to see his mother. Whether his mother is in Cerritos, whether his mother is here with who we believe the son, O.J. Simpson's son, and we know there's another daughter, I believe, too.
Exactly. Nicole Brown Simpson was O.J. Simpson's second wife. And there's a good shot of the Bronco, and who we think might be Al Cowling.
And I believe there's a daughter from the previous marriage, too.
We'll see this afternoon in the
He's leaning in.
Without any more violence, without any more bloodshed.
This is just one of two different...
We can only hope at this point.
Mark, while we look at this, Mark Lunder, I understand you have some new information. Go right ahead.
Yeah, we understand that the helicopter pilots, the pilots of all the news choppers hovering over O.J. Simpson's home, were asked about 5 to 10 minutes ago to increase their altitude because the noise of the helicopters was interfering with the communication. Now, we can only assume that that communication is between the police and O.J. Simpson, perhaps some sort of negotiations already in progress. But all the chopper pilots, of course, complied and gained altitude so as to decrease the noise level.
No, he's asking for quiet.
And this helicopter, by the way, is at 1,500 feet. Generally, they will fly about 500 to 700 feet. All of them, as Mark said, complying with the wishes of the LAPD to raise the altitude so they can get a handle on the situation with O.J. Simpson inside this Ford Bronco.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting there, Mark, but we do see the activity here, and Al Cowling's conferring with at least one officer. He's motioning in one specific direction. We don't know if he's trying to get people to move back. We're not sure.
Now he's walking to the rear of the Bronco.
He's pleading. He appears to be holding his hands together as a please.
With people here, the police obviously, and it's obviously very stressful down there from these pictures, as you can see. A very delicate situation taking place as we watch here.
And the sun is starting to go down in the Los Angeles area too, so it's getting more difficult to see.
And there he's motioning again. He's motioning. There are officers stationed just
It would be very interesting if anybody
to exactly where he is looking, behind a hedge that surrounds the property there.
Supposedly, one shot shows somebody in the back seat wearing a yellow shirt, which was the last color shirt O.J. was seen in supposedly this morning when he apparently left his home in the black Mercedes headed for the home, Al Cowling's home in the San Fernando Valley.
That information comes to us from CNN, by the way.
A little more dramatic.
Now there's an officer there. They all are being as ginger as they can with this situation. Now those officers walking back into the house.
Safe.
Well, there's no doubt, as we mentioned before, that O.J.
And if this is Al Cowley, he appears to be
particularly
serving as a mediator of some sorts, trying to keep the situation under control.
What goes on from here on is very difficult to ascertain. I would suspect also that his lawyer is going to be involved in these negotiations also. But it does appear, and this once again is just guessing, that O.J. is still in that vehicle and probably on the passenger side. That seems to be a fairly logical deduction, I think, because the person who got out is doing some kind of negotiation or talking rather than dealing with law enforcement and talking to somebody in the car.
Yeah, most definitely. That's what it appears to be.
Hal, yeah. Eric Spillman now is live on the grounds of the house. Let's switch to him right now. Eric?
Well, Stan and Hal, unfortunately, we can't see as well from our vantage point as you can from yours. We are about, I'd say 500 yards away from the driveway where the drama is all taking place. And as you can see, there's a line of black and whites, Highway Patrol, Orange County Sheriffs, and LAPD patrol cars with their lights flashing all the way back down towards
what you're seeing now, that appears to be Al Cowley backing up from the Bronco. He continues to look at it. He looks nervous. He's turning and talking to somebody just inside the door of the house. We have seen a couple of people in uniforms who we think may be LAPD that were at the Simpson estate.
He may be trying to clear the way to get O.J. Simpson inside that house.
That indeed looks like it could be a possibility.
And that's why he's probably pushing them back. He wants to at least get him in the home and out of that car and perhaps away from that gun if he can, if he indeed has a gun. But from all reports that we've received from people who have eyeballed inside that car, that's exactly what he has. And he has said to police he does. So we have to assume that that's indeed the case.
And said he'll harm himself.
We should obviously say to you that it is past 11 o'clock. We have gone over our regular news time, but we intend to stay with this story, and I think you can see why.
Los Angeles police surrounding O.J. Simpson's home in Brentwood. He led them on about an hour and a half motorcade, if you will, nine to a dozen police cars following him on several freeways to get here. He was holding a gun to his head, according to reports, and demanding to be taken to his mother, talking to LAPD or CHP, California Highway Patrol, on a cell phone and telling them his demands. And right now that the Bronco has pulled in, there's a police unit behind it. The driver, who we think is the driver, and a close friend of O.J. Simpson's.
Able to see somebody is pleading both inside the house and toward the car. Now, the man who was in the window is looking into the back seat and talking to someone again, the person who was at the front door. Runs his hand over his head. And we can only imagine the torment of so many young people in America who have had O.J. as their role model all this time, and as they watch this being played out on television in Los Angeles and across the nation, what must they be thinking about where we are as a society and about the values of our culture? Jack Ford, our NBC News legal consultant, is watching all of this with me as well. Jack, will this in any way have any bearing on how the case comes to trial if he in fact is successfully apprehended?
Tom, it's going to be a problem for him. We heard Johnny Cochran earlier in the night talking about the fact that in California, if you go to trial, prosecution can attempt to show the jury that at some point in time you ran. And they can even ask the judge to say to the jury that the fact that you were willing to take off and run can be used by the jury as, in essence, an indication of your what's called consciousness of guilt. It's called a flight charge, and it's something, if you're the defense, you never want to hear. It can be very compelling evidence against you. Most people look at a situation and say, look, if you truly didn't do it, you'd stay, you'd fight, you'd argue things out in a courtroom. But when you get in and you start to run, most people start thinking that's because you got something to run from. So it may well be just another one of the problems that O.J. Simpson is going to have to deal with.
I'm looking now, there's real pleading going on between an LAPD uniformed officer and the man who appeared to have emerged from the car earlier. We think that was the driver. We believe, although we cannot by any means affirm this, that it was Al Cowlings. There is now a conversation going on inside the car with O.J. Simpson in the back. The police will begin to run out of patience because this is a very unstable situation for them. All these people gathered, a man with a gun. They want to give him as much room as they possibly can. They don't want anyone to be hurt. They'll let this wind down as best they can. But at the same time, they'll be taking this moment by moment because it is so delicate. Okay, as soon as there is some kind of a resolution of all of this, we'll be back. Let's go back now to Madison Square Garden.
Goal is in all of this.
To bring people up to date on the full story here, presumably we had some sort of snag at this point because initially we had understood that O.J. Simpson wanted
In the house and for people in the neighborhood, for that matter.
50 miles we're hearing from where this began to where it has now at least come to a stop. They're saying they don't expect this vehicle to move tonight, but who would have expected much of this?
Kelly, we understand that police are on the phone inside the house, and they're talking to O.J. Simpson on the cell phone in the Bronco right now. This from two different sources, and they have confirmed that he does have a weapon in his hand. And I'm sure they're trying to talk him out of this and out of the car, and you see his friend is still standing right up against the car with the door open right there. Can you see what he has in his hand?
He does have something in his hand, and I'm not sure what it is, but it appeared to be white, or at least a light color, because it certainly showed up all of a sudden about the same color as the car, it seemed to be.
They don't want O.J. Simpson to take his own life. They don't want O.J. Simpson to harm anyone else. They don't want to harm him if possible. However, they do have to put it in perspective that charges of murder in the first degree have been leveled against O.J., and something will have to be resolved here very shortly.